Hiya. Looking today at the Bear Grylls paracord knife. For some reason, I've always had my eye on this knife, and I'm not sure quite why. It might have been because it was the first paracord knife I saw, or I kind of just liked the efficiency of the design, or the apparent efficiency of the design. Just a nice, simple, fixed blade, full tang companion knife. What's a companion knife? I've been talking about companion knives a little bit lately. They're knives you can just wear on your person all the time. They sort of become the equivalent of your EDC knife when you're out in the woods. Nice fixed blade, so a little bit stronger than the EDC knife that you'd normally carry, which would generally be a folder. So I've always thought it sort of looked like a nice, especially like a pretty reasonable budget option for that type of blade as well. So I've ordered one and I've tested one, and I'm here to deliver my thoughts. First of all, you get just over a 3-inch long blade, so it's about the same as what you get in a normal folding pocket knife. That's sort of a bit perhaps larger or more hard use, so to speak. It's obviously full tang, single piece of steel. It's a paracord wrapped handle, which helps with sort of heating issues, like when it's really cold. It gives you a little bit of grip, and also I guess you've got some paracord in there if you find yourself in the need. You've got a bit of jimping on the back there. You've got a forward finger choil there to enable you to secure that grip on. And yeah, apart from that, it's a very simple design. The end I've sort of sculpted into a bit of a butt cap there, so you can sort of hammer it in. Companion knife, I guess a good example of a companion knife would be the SE3, which is pretty much the same size, getting towards perhaps being a bit bulkier and a bit tougher than the Bear Grylls, just because it's got a larger handle and it's made of high carbon steel. But so that's the sort of thing we're looking at as competition. Knife is a saber grind, so it's flat here, and then this ledge here goes down into a straight. If it's not a saber, it's a very shallow, what's I'm gonna call it? Hollow grind. That's the one. So if it's not that, it's that. But apart from that, it's a pretty good outdoor type grind for a knife. And an outdoor knife, it's not too bad for your outdoor tasks. My testing included some batoning, so as you would do with a knife like this sometimes, just splitting down small sticks to make firewood sticks. That did it just fine. It's no problems at all. The saber slash hollow grind, whatever the grind is, as it's supposed to, it wears the pressure here, it splits the wood up quite well. The knife is, fairly thick. It's thicker than your average sort of pocket knife, so it's got a properly thick sort of durable blade, and it's made out of kind of Gerber's Mystery Steel, which I think is 5CR, 15 MOV. And of course you'd scoff at that if it was used in a everyday carry blade, but for an outdoors knife, it's one of those tough, low carbon, fairly low carbon stainless steels that just has enough chromium and enough of all those other sort of elements to make it stainless in it to enable it to actually be fairly ductile and fairly flexible. So you can put this knife under a fair bit of stress. The higher the carbon they seem to go on these stainless steels, the more brittle they seem to become. So I've got the Bear Grylls, the original Bear Grylls knife, which I got when I was first getting into knives. That's 7CR, it's very tough steel. However, when they went up to 9CR for the Ultimate Pro, that's when I broke the tip off of that, which I know I was abusing the knife, but I think the lower the carbon the steel, and sort of the lower end of the steel, the better they are for outdoor tasks, because it doesn't really seem to take a lot out of an edge using the knife for wood projects. It's just when you come across those abrasives. I did carve well with this knife. The blade carves well, but it's an uncomfortable knife to carve with. Just being a skeletonized knife, it's just not comfortable. Like, it's not comfortable for long-term hard intensive use, so pushing against wood and things like that. Just not comfortable for it. There's nothing you can do about that. It's thin, and it's the jimping digs in, and the thinness here digs in, because you're just holding a raw piece of steel. There's a reason things have handles, because it enables your hand to hold onto something a bit better. So it's just not particularly comfortable for that. Then I did some basic food prep type things, so I just cut up some potatoes, and the edges, it's a little bit obtuse for that. It's you find saber grinds, they kind of want to steer the knife away from the surface of the cut or into it. It's hard to keep it a straight down cut, so yeah, it does relatively well there. The reason this knife is good outdoors and not so much indoors is because of that steel. The 5CR steel is fine for tough outdoor projects, but the minute I put this into cardboard, it just instantly dulled. Like, it started off sharp, quite sharp. I did my wood shavings first, and that was fine. But now I probably did about maybe a foot or so of cardboard until it literally just stopped cutting. It was thick cardboard, but there's a reason that you need higher end steels in your urban use pocket knives, because this stuff just went dull straight away. Like, even that, it's just, you really have to work it through just paracord now. So just dulled it immediately. So very, very poor multi-use. They'd often tout this as sort of an everyday carry knife as well. It's not. You couldn't EDC this as a fixed blade. The steel is just too poor and does not hold an edge. So, which is, you know, not desirable in fixed blades. In fixed blades, you want your high quality steels. Outdoor use though, it's a fine steel, no problems at all. Sheath carry, I think the sheath is a piece of junk. It's got that impreciseness that cheaper plastic sheaths will have to it, and I reckon they've actually changed this since they've created this knife. I think it's slightly different, because you see people using it really easily in the videos that came out about 2011 about this knife. It's been out for a fair while. It seemed to go on a lot easier. This is just, if you put it in just right, it kind of does well, but it reminds me of that Boca Vox rolled sheath, that plastic that you if you put it at the wrong angle, the knife will part the plastic in the wrong place, and it just will literally be stuck in there, and you have to like really pull it out, and it's just not good. It's not a good sheath. And so say here, in the heat of things, you could just be putting the knife in, and it's just, I put it in slightly wrong, and it's just, I mean, I could force it, and then I just know it would be a disaster to get out. So you can rotate the belt loop to where it's scout style or vertically, whatever, but I just don't think it's quality at all. And you can only put the knife in one way. I would rather they have just you sort of universalized it, so just made it less of a sculpted shape, and perhaps just have a tight part here and more of a generic shape, so you can put the knife in either way. Because for some reason I could either wear it behind my belt, which I guess is okay if you want to have sort of a concealed thing, but then the handle sticks up a little far. You could switch this around and drop it though, which is probably not a bad idea. Like so, as in rotate this around so that it's up here. But even still, just not doing it for me at all, the sheath. It is a bit junky. This is the $50 knife, so 50 Australian dollars. You probably pay about 20 bucks for it in the States. For $20, it's probably fine for a survival kit knife or something like that. For a cheap companion knife, for woods use only, it's probably fine. Of course, you'd want to be spending, like, ideally you'd have an SE3 or a Falk Niven F1 or something a bit bigger for your 3-inch or 3.5-inch fixed blade knife. But if you've got very little money and you want something just to wear on you all the time, yeah, it's probably okay. However, the sheath isn't very good, so that's the main thing about a companion knife. The main thing it relies on is being comfortable to carry every day. And I guess, yeah, the sheath, if you could get a better sheath for it, or if perhaps you got one that worked for you, probably not too bad. But apart from that, I probably wouldn't recommend this knife, to be honest. It does things okay, but I'm pretty sure you can get more okayer knives for about the same price. So, yeah. As for the paracord, you just need to remember also with a paracord knife, if you're going to be using it for food, that paracord is going to absorb everything. So if you're using this for especially animal product, like butchery and stuff, you're going to want to change the paracord fairly often, or soak it in bleach or something like that, because the crap from your hands is going to, like, you can already see, like, you can see all the discoloration that comes from just having dirty hands. So a material like micarta, it's somewhat porous, but you could just dip this in Aqueum or something and it would be fine, whereas this will soak in all the way to the core of the paracord, and always have a bit of, you could just get yourself a bit sick, I reckon, if you butchered some meat and then you didn't wash the knife correctly or didn't change your cord over. So there you have it, the Bear Grylls knife. Pretty underwhelmed with it. I guess what do you expect for $50 from Gerber with the mystery steel from the Bear Grylls line. But I've always been interested, and I guess that's sated my interest. See you guys later.